The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a brand new Tuesday episode of Running Point, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I am Anthony Hartwig, your friendly neighborhood host, and we have a great show for you today. We're going to recap, of course, the action that occurred last night. We had plenty of basketball go down. We'll also show you what games we're going to have tonight. We also have more boys basketball previews as we get ready for the boys season to tip off on Tuesday. So we have a couple of more boys previews that we're going to play for you guys. Going to be a great show. But as always, let's start with the recaps. Let's go into the scoreboard on ysnlive.com. Brought to you and presented by Burnett Pools, Spas, and Hot Tubs. And let's see what we had cooking yesterday in the basketball world. We'll full screen that for you so you see what we're looking at. As you can see, a lot of games that went down last night. We'll start with Canfield going and beating Alliance by a dominating score of 58-27. Canfield once again looking very good at the start of the season. Two decisive wins over Struthers and Alliance to start out the year. And it's been a balanced attack. We've had Cami Ritz have a really great start to the season. Kenna Traveris playing really well for Canfield. That's good to see because she dealt with a couple of injuries during the volleyball season, so she seems to be healthy and running on full cylinders. Grace McQuiston playing really well. They just have a lot of players that are really contributing. Carly Fleming was the player of the game last night. She's stepping into a much bigger role this year at the varsity level, so good to see her step up. We know we saw her a lot during the volleyball season as the new varsity setter, and I think she took that experience of being a leader on the varsity floor for volleyball and carried it right into basketball because we're seeing really good things from her so far this season as well. Canfield, obviously plenty of tests yet to be played, but at the same time, the Cardinals looking really, really good so far to start the season. That's a very athletic Alliance team that is returning just about everybody from last year, where they were a team that gave a ton of teams fits. I saw them down at the Holiday Hoops Classic last year at South Range, and they were just so fast, so quick. They were tough to defend. They liked to run and gun. And Canfield, look at that, holding them to 27. That is not easy with the roster that Alliance has. So I know a lot of people could have looked over that Struthers win because Struthers was not returning a lot and trying to build a new kind of roster, and trying to work with a roster that's kind of inexperienced in the girls basketball. But this Alliance team is the opposite. They return just about everybody from last year. They're fast, they're quick, they're athletic, a tough team to defend, but Canfield definitely up for the task. 58-27, the final score there. We had a thriller in Springfield. Crestview gets the win, 54-52. Man, this game was wild because I was there. I called it. There were a couple of times where it really looked like Crestview was going to run away with it, and there were a couple of times where Springfield looked like they were dominating and they were going to kind of come up, take a lead, and run away with the game. It was a very up and down game for both teams. I think both coaches are going to look and say the biggest thing we take away from that game that we need to improve on is consistency. The first quarter started exactly how we expected this game to be. Both teams were playing really well. It was even. It was 11-10 after one quarter. Crestview had the 1-point lead. But then in the second quarter, it started to get really up and down, right? It started to get really runny in the sense of both teams were making runs. Springfield had a 6-0 run to take a 16-11 lead. Between the second and third quarters, Crestview went on a 17-0 run. And that's when they looked like they were going to run away with the game. They were up 28-16. Springfield responded, got back into the game with a 10-0 run. And then Crestview got a run. And then Springfield ran right back, tried to get back into the game late. It came down to Addison Rhodes' free throws, really, because it was 52-49. Addison Rhodes hit 2 free throws to make it 54-49 with about 5 seconds left. Jamaica Brungard ended up hitting a 3 that would have tied the game if Addison Rhodes did not hit those free throws. So what ended up being the game-winning free throws came from Addison Rhodes, who led the way with a double-double for Crestview. Kamika Brungard also had a double-double. Addison Rhodes had 23 points, 12 boards. Kamika Brungard had 19 points, but they were all earned. And I think 13 rebounds, if I'm not mistaken. Everything that Kamika Brungard got was tough. And it was like, oh, I can't believe she had 19 points, because when I watched Crestview defend her, just watching it without kind of keeping track of the points in my mind, it just felt like they were making life just very frustrating for her. But she still found her way to 19 because she is that good. She had just a tenacious ability to keep going right at you. Didn't put her head down too much. A very tough matchup. But Crestview got to her enough. And I think the thing that they like about it is she wasn't scoring consistently through the game. She had moments or droughts in the game where they weren't letting her score, and those were the times when Crestview were able to take leads and take advantage and take momentum into the game. Those little runs in the game where they just would not let her score at all. So her points came in bunches at different times in the game, and they were all trying to get Springfield to come back. So Crestview did a really good job guarding her when they really, really, really needed to guard her. Like, Springfield could never get that point that they needed to take a big lead or tie up the game. You know what I'm saying? So Crestview, in the clutch times, really played good defense. The other thing I'm really impressed with Crestview in the question marks that came into this season is they have a couple of injuries, right? So they're going to have players that step up into really big roles, kind of get thrown into the fire. And all of those players did really well. I was really impressed with Bree DeCross playing the point for most of the game, really running that well. Meyer Miller hit 3 big threes, but one down the stretch with about a minute to go, up 5 to put them up 8. That was a big shot for her. She had 9 points in her first varsity start. I thought Emily Downey played really good defense and knocked down a couple of big threes. So Crestview got a lot of offense outside of the big two that everybody's in a circle, in Lorraine Gaskins and in Addison Rhodes. So that was really positive to see if you're a Rebels fan, to see the balance on offense come through. Springfield got a really good game as well from Mariana Toscano and Ava Vecchino. They both play really well. They're going to lean on those three a lot this season, especially early, as the other girls start to kind of find their groove and find their identity inside this varsity program. But those three actually played really, really well. We had a great game in Southern Local as the Indians held off East Liverpool 56-50, but it had to come in the fourth quarter for Southern. They scored 19 points in the fourth quarter, won it 19-10. They trailed the whole game. It was close, very close, but they did trail the whole game, or at least the end of every quarter, until that fourth quarter when they outscored the Potters 19-10. Ashley Schroeds had 22. Alyssa Schroeds had 20. There you go. Those are your big scores. They had 56 points, and the Schroeds sisters had 42 of those. That tells you exactly what you're dealing with when you're playing some local. And they do it in different ways, because Alyssa Schroeds is a lockdown shooter. She'll camp out in the corner. She'll make you have to come off those drives to guard the shooter. And Ashley Schroeds is much more of a do it off the dribble. She can definitely shoot, but she creates her own shot. Don't get me wrong about that. She will do a lot off the dribble. And to see those two kind of scoring in different ways makes this offense really hard to defend. The Potters really looking good so far. I got to give them credit. They're looking good this season. I know this is a tough loss by 6 points, but it's a Potters team that looked really down last year, and they're coming back this year looking really good. They have a strong win over Toronto to open the season on Saturday, and then last night, they were right there. They just didn't finish. They got more contributions from Kinsey Walker and Kinsey Headley also had a really good game for East Liverpool. So you got to give the Potters credit; they're really looking good so far this year. A 1-1 record, but I think they're gonna definitely improve on that win total from a year ago. We'll go to the last column last. We'll scroll over to that after we're done with the first three. We move on down to Jefferson. Mia Contenza got some clutch points down the stretch. They trailed at halftime, but ended up winning 29-24 over Lakeview. A couple of defensive games in a row as United goes to South Range and beats the Raiders in a close one, 29-27. Grace Knight was the leading scorer for United. Devin Sourwine led the Raiders in that game. You had Beaver Local. They beat Edison 62-22. Big win for the Beavers, who are, like East Liverpool, looking for a season that improves a lot from last year. And then you look at the next one. This is Columbiana and Jackson Milton. We want to, welcome them back to the basketball fold. See a lot of crazy numbers get thrown around about the last time Jackson Milton played basketball. Not to confuse anybody, Jackson Milton missed one season of girls basketball. The last time they played was February 23rd, 2022. It's not 1,000 days. It's 641 days since Jackson Milton last played basketball on the girls' side of the court. They return, and they played hard. This is going to be a learning experience for a lot of those girls because they did have a year without varsity basketball, right? So they come in. They're playing a very good Columbiana team that's coached by Dave Chrisman, who did not hold back. They win this one 67-22. But we're really happy to see Jackson Milton come back into the fold for the first time in over 600 days, 641 to be exact. And they are back into our good graces at YSN in the basketball world. We're happy to see the girls come back. So Jackson Milton will continue their season. I know they're going to be working hard with Jeff Wilson as their head coach all year. And can't wait to see what they have in the store for them for the rest of the year. Howland gets the win over Nordonia on the road, 61-29. This Tigers offense starting off the season looking really good, guys. Really good. Louisville gets their first win of the year, 63-17, the final score there. We had Poland hold off a Cheney rally. This was one where Poland had a pretty decisive lead in the second half. Cheney went off in the fourth quarter, but not enough to catch the Bulldogs 58-47. But do want to shout out Alyssa Brown. We've heard a lot about her coming into this season. A lot of hype in Cheney about Alyssa Brown. We've seen the highlights. We knew what we were getting when she was coming in, and she dropped 31 points last night for Cheney. That is a very impressive first varsity game for Miss Brown, and I think we're going to see a lot of eye-popping stats from her this season. She might be one of the best athletes we have in the network. Looking at what she did last night against a Poland defense that does not give up points like that too often. You have to go back, I believe. Now, Nick Blanche could eventually say I'm wrong, but I think the last player to score 30 or more points on a Poland defense was Dacian Harris from Ursuline. And that was back, 2018, I think she graduated. Obviously went on to play for Pitt for 4 years, graduated from Pitt. Now she's a grad transfer playing at Clemson to finish out her NCAA eligibility. She was the fastest Pitt women's basketball player ever to 500 points and 500 assists in her career. Did a lot of great things at Pitt and is also having a great final fifth-year senior season at Clemson. So I think that's the last person that scored 30 or more on Poland. I know Izzy Lamparty put up some big points against them, but I don't think she ever got above 30. I think she's sitting the mid-20s. So I could be wrong. That is not official. I'm not saying this is an official number. But I believe the last person to score 30 or more points in one game on Poland is Daishanet Harris. I could be wrong. I will be gladly corrected if I am wrong, but that's what I'm thinking. McDonald went on the road, suffered their first loss of the season to Maplewood in a really good game, 45-38. Maplewood is a good basketball team. They made a little bit of a tournament run last year. They were actually the team that knocked Jackson Milton out of the tournament 2 years ago in that last game of the season, in the last game they played. And a good fight from McDonald. They come up a little bit short. 45-28 the final score there. 45-38, I should say. Last but not least, Salem's offense looks just as good as it did in game one, and their defense this time came around to play 61-28. That's 26, I'm sorry. 61-26. Salem gets the win over Cardinal Mooney. Big win for the Quakers. We go on and we go to the last column. LeBray 2-0. They get a big win over Girard. 57-49, the final score there. Champion, they're hot as they get another win over Niles. 64-55. Niles actually put up a really strong fight. 55 points might be the most that Niles has scored in a long time. Their offense has usually been on a struggle bus for the last couple of years, but they really put up a good fight against Champion's defense. But the offensive output from Bella Meyer and Kennedy Caldwell were just too much for Niles to withstand as they lose 64-55 to Champion. And then last but not least, we have Middle Ridge getting the win to open the season over Matthews, 60-26, the final score there. Most of those recaps can be found on ysnlive.com. So if you're looking for who were the big players and who were the big names in those matchups, make sure to go check out the stories on ysnlive.com. Don't miss a minute of the action. And that's kind of your Monday recap. That's our first full slate day of basketball. I know we had a couple of games on Wednesday, a couple of games on Friday, a game on Saturday, of course. Definitely we're looking forward to the start of basketball season last week. But this is the first day of the winter season where it seemed like it was a really full slate of basketball. We had 9 games on the network. We had a total of 15 games happened involving YSN schools. So a big day as it continues tonight. We will preview what's going on tonight in the basketball world a little bit later on in the show. But first, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we have some basketball previews to get to. On the boys' side, we will hear from the head coach of the Salem Quakers boys basketball team, Jeff Andres, and the head coach of the LeBray boys basketball team in Chad Kaiser. That's all coming up next on Running Point. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
What can you do on over 5,000 acres? At Mill Creek Metro Parks, you can discover unique habitats and wildlife, create memorable family moments, experience history, heritage, and park programs, explore scenic landscapes, take time to relax and be well. Connect with nature and each other. Come see what's new at Mill Creek Metro Parks. Plan your trip now at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means taking care of our local customers.
And it's just a great feeling to put them in a vehicle and get them all excited about a new vehicle.
At the end of the day, our goal is to be someone our customers can count on.
And every day I'll go the extra mile for the community so they can trust us.
To do anything that would convenience the customer or make them feel more at home.
Realizing, number one, that we're here for them and that we're not going to go away.
That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Anthony Hartwig here with a Salem Boys Basketball Coach's Corner and a season preview here for another awesome basketball season on Ysn. I'm joined by the head coach of the Salem Boys, Jeff Andres. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for the coverage, and we appreciate what you do for the athletes across the valley.
You know, we had to get you on. Salem's one of the OGs, and we're so excited for another season with them. Let's talk about this team. You've had them for, a couple of weeks now, and you've been able to practice a lot and have a scrimmage or two here and there. What have you seen so far from your boys that make you kind of optimistic about what things can happen this year?
Yeah, we're pretty optimistic coming into the season. We had 4 returning starters. Unfortunately, we were a little banged up here preseason with 3 of them. But it's kind of opened the door for some of the young guys to step up and get them some experience. And, we feel like it's going to pay off down the line. No, guys are working hard and competing, and we're looking forward to get the games rolling.
No one ever wants to deal with injuries, Coach, but like you said, that is giving some players that maybe came into this year maybe not expecting to have as big of roles or maybe not expecting to be in the opportunity that they are now, getting those reps. What does that do for you, not just this year, but, I mean, you're talking the future of the program, getting kids more reps that may be younger, that might be a year ahead of schedule now?
Yeah, I mean, experience is invaluable, especially for the young guys that are making a jump from maybe freshman to the varsity level or JV to the varsity level. So to get them some reps, not only in practice and in scrimmages and so forth, playing with a few of the older guys that have been around, it's going to pay off for us depth-wise this year. And certainly, in the years to come, experience is pretty important, and we've gained some of that over the first couple of weeks of this season.
Now let's talk about this roster. I'm going to have you have kind of a meet the team segment. Let us know who the big names are in Salem this year and who we should watch out for.
Yeah, we had 4 returning starters, like I had mentioned: Ross Davidson, senior, Cam Sampson, senior, Trent Fink, senior, and Lance Bailey, senior. Unfortunately, Ross is dealing with a knee injury, so his career's looked pretty bleak, and maybe he has come to a close. But we'll see how he goes. He's rehabbing and doing well and working hard, and we'll see what happens with him. But we're going to rely on Cam Sampson, who's played for a couple years now for us, been a leading scorer and a go-to guy. Lance Bailey and Trent Fink also. Those 3 guys are going to be pivotal to our success. All 3 started last year. All 3 scored over 10 points a game, and we're looking forward to them helping bring along some of the young kids. A couple newcomers, juniors, Evan Jones and Colin Risen are going to be vital to our success. Add a little size to us. Jones, 6'7" post player, and Colin Risen, 6'3". He can do it all, really. He's kind of filling in Ross's role, with the ability to defend and rebound and assist and score as well. And then we got some young guys that we're pretty excited about. Deontay Steele is a sophomore. He's an electric player. He's an up-and-comer, had a really good season last year as a freshman at the JV level. Looking for him to take a step in the right direction. Ben Sevier, Andrew Beck are both post players and looking to get in the rotation. And then Ty Mannion is another kid that we're pretty excited about. He's a freshman guard. He's a pretty electric player as well. So, some guys that we know what they can do, and some guys that we're going to find out what they can do at the varsity level. But we're excited about our team and our pieces and how they've been working. So, we'll see how it goes. But, we're pretty pleased so far.
Coach, I had a chance to interview Camden Sampson during the soccer season, where he was obviously a captain on that team as well. Man, what I got from him was just what a leader that kid is. Leader on the court, leader off the court, I'm sure. Vocal leader, just kind of like your second coach, I imagine, on the floor. What kind of a blessing is it to have someone like that?
Yeah, he's been playing for us for a couple years. We threw him threw him to the wolves, I guess, so to speak, as a sophomore, and he was, probably undersized and wasn't a real strong kid, but he had a knack for playing this game, and he works really hard at it. I think this is his first love. So he's certainly been battle tested, and for to have him out there and know kind of what to expect and kind of relay that to the young guys. He's not a super vocal leader, but he certainly leads by example. He certainly leads by work ethic, because he's in the gym a lot and he works on his game. So absolutely, it's pivotal. I mean, that's what every coach is looking for, a guy that can get guys where they need to be during a downtime or something like that on the field or on the court. And, he certainly does that. He knows what's going on. He knows where everybody's supposed to be and so forth. So yeah, that's pretty valuable piece to have.
Let's transition into the schedule that you're going to have to come across this season. We'll start with the conference. Obviously, that EBC, very tough. It always is. What can you say about the EBC this year and what you expect out of it?
Yeah, I think it's as solid as it's ever been. It's certainly across the board. I think every team has potential to win on any given night. It's a very difficult league to win on the road in. But Alliance and West Branch and Carrollton and Minerva, Marlington, they all bring different challenges, and I really feel that each team is going to be pretty solid. So I look for us to beat each other up, I guess, so to speak, as we do just about every year. I mean, I'd probably, preseason favorite. West Branch is pretty loaded. They got a lot of pieces coming back. Alliance is always good. Minerva may have the best player in the league, and Garrett Gonzalez coming back as a leading scorer for them last year. Carrollton lost quite a bit, but they still have Malarney, and their JV team was really good last year. And then Marlington has a really, really good group as freshmen this year, and I know that they're going to get some valuable experience, and they're going to be a team to be reckoned with for the years to come. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be challenging, but that's what it's all about. So we're looking forward to it.
As if the league wasn't hard enough, you also have a very tough non-conference schedule. I've had a chance to look at it, and man, it's just going to prepare you for the tournament. Talk about some of the teams that are popping up outside of the EBC that you're really excited to test yourself with.
Yeah, we like to dabble in the NE8. We think that's a really good conference. It's a conference and a lot of teams that I'm pretty familiar with from my playing days and coaching here for a long time. Teams up in the Valley, Youngstown area, Girard and Hubbard and Niles and Poland. Those teams are certainly challenging. Canfield is probably one of the better teams in the area that we have to play on a back-to-back on a Saturday noon. I think it is noon tip-off or 1 o'clock tip-off. So that's going to be a challenge. And then we always like to, play some teams in the county. East Liverpool is always really good at hoops. They're a fun rivalry. Beaver Local we play this year, who's really, really good. South Range, I didn't mention there in the NE8 group, but we really don't have any night that we're going to go in and know or think that we have a really good chance of winning or be big favorites, I guess, so to speak. So each night is a challenge for us, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see where we're at. It's exciting to see what other teams are doing and what other players are out there. And again, we're looking forward to the challenge on each night. So as you said, it will prepare us for the tournament well. But we're just going to take it one game at a time and see what we got, see what we're made of.
When I hear all those teams, Coach, what I like is not only are they all good, really, really good basketball teams, but you're looking at different styles of basketball too. You see some teams like to play fast, some teams are really good at shooting, some teams like to slow it down and maybe work the inside, things like that. When you're playing different styles of teams, different styles of ways that other teams can attack you, what does that do for your team?
Well, we have some pieces that we think we can do a little bit of, things against some of those teams, as you mentioned. I think we have a pretty decent inside game that we're going to try to develop as the year goes on with Evan Jones and Colin Risen. We got some guys that can fill it up and shoot pretty well. We got some guards that are quick and athletic and maybe can defend at a high level. So, we certainly will have to adapt to the game and the style of play that we're facing. But at the end of the day, we feel like we're pretty good across the board and maybe can hang in all those different areas. So, we'll see, but it certainly will give us an opportunity to develop in all those areas as the year goes on. And as we talked about earlier, that'll certainly help this year and into the future.
You still have a little bit of time of preseason before game one comes upon you. What are some things on your coach's checklist that you want to see accomplished in practices and in scrimmages before that first game of the year?
Yeah, our first game is coming real quick. We play a really good Heartland Christian team next Friday down in the Lisbon tip-off tournament. A team that not a lot of people know much about, but they pressure, they can shoot. Josh Scott does a really good job. So preparing for that game, we want to make sure that we're doing what we're doing. We're brushing up on all of our stuff that we're trying to run, and just keep getting better each day at things that we like to do. So getting Cam Sampson and Lance Bailey, they were a little banged up at the beginning of the season. Getting them back, bringing them along, getting their legs underneath them, and getting them ready for the season is going to be pivotal too over this next week and a half.
I've always noticed that your team chemistry is always pretty good as well. No matter who's in your program, it seems like you have guys that really care about each other. What kind of things do you do to build team chemistry? What's kind of your formula that continues to have success in that?
Well, just having the kids together, having them compete. We had a really good summer. We had a lot of kids around this summer, probably more than I've had in my 6 years here. Lifting and shooting and some open gyms and summer leagues and stuff like that. So I think the more they're around each other, the better it is. The locker room is a really good place to develop some of that stuff. And this has been a really good group that does like each other and does like to be around each other and spends time. They leave together, they come together, they go eat afterwards. And that's all good stuff to build that team chemistry that you're talking about. So we feel like we're on to something, and we have some. This group seems to be a little bit better in some of those areas than some of the past groups. But really just spending time with each other, and then they get to care about each other, and so on and so forth. And that does go a long way.
Coach, we're obviously interviewing you, and you get a lot of attention as the head coach, but we know that you have great people behind you that are helping you make this Salem program what it is. You have great staff. I want to give you the chance to highlight the people that are working with you and the people that are trying to help you build this Salem basketball team.
Yeah, real fortunate to have a lot of people to lean on. Staff consists of 3 former head coaches and Coach Spack. He's been around the game longer than just about anybody in the Valley. You think of people like John Collin and Grisdale who stepped down. Coach Spack is right up there with them. He's been doing it a long time and knows a lot of stuff about the game. Matt Mowry was a head coach over at United for quite some time. He's been around Salem basketball for quite a bit. Also as a JV coach, brings a lot to the table. Vince Natoli does a great job. He's kind of our guy that thinks outside the box quite a bit and brings some interesting ideas that we try to implement. But leaning on those guys and having that experience is pretty rare. If you look around, the area and the staffs that people have put together, we feel like we have pretty good people here to teach these guys and really try to lean on them. It's almost like a coaching by committee. I'm certainly the guy that's in front, I guess, and gets the credit if things go well, or people like to, I guess, blame when things don't go too well. But we have a lot of good people that are working with these kids, and I feel really good about them, and they're doing a really good job of it. So excited about that.
Our last question for you, Coach, is one that we're asking every coach that we bring on this year. It's kind of the theme of these season previews, and we just want to harp back to the love of the game because we love it. We broadcast it every night. I know you love it because you're coaching. You keep coming back to it, and obviously your players are giving you the time of day, so they love it too. Talking about your love for the sport, though, when did you kind of pick it up, and what's your journey like? When did you start falling in love with the sport of basketball?
I was always a multi-sport athlete growing up. Football was probably my first love. I liked that, probably the best playing and competing in high school. But coaching, it's a special time of year, certainly, in the wintertime and around the holidays and stuff like that. You got a lot of alumni coming back, and alumni games and those sort of things. And we've always had really good community support here, really with all of our sports. But to get our gym packed and electric and loud and so forth, I think it's one of the best atmospheres around for high school athletes to experience. And get the Quake crazies rocking, and like I said, get people in the gym. Our facility, I think, is second to none. So all of that goes into it, and it's just really a fun experience and a fun atmosphere and a fun thing to do. Teaching these kids is one thing, but also creating a little bit of a different relationship with them through competing is pretty special and pretty cool. It's probably been in the works, but it's also been a long time that I enjoy, getting together with these kids and and coming to Salem. I've been a Salem guy my whole life and so forth. It's an exciting thing, and it certainly is. There certainly is a love.
No one does it better than the Quaker Crazies. We know that. You guys got a great student section. We can't wait to see him this year. Coach, your first game, we'll shout it out. It's that Lisbon tip-off, like you said, against Heartland Christian. Ysn will be there. We want to thank you so much for your time and giving us another preview of another fantastic season. We can't wait to cover you and talk to you again real soon.
Again, hey, thanks a lot for the coverage, and look forward to seeing you here over the next several months.
Anthony Hartwig here with a LeBray boys basketball coach's corner and season preview. Chad Kaiser, the head coach of the boys program down there in LeBray, joining us. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about your team. Obviously, you've had them for a couple of weeks now, and you've had practices and hopefully a couple of scrimmages. What are you seeing so far out of your roster and out of your team that makes you optimistic about this year?
Well, first of all, we got 4 returning starters, so that really helps. It lets us get things in a little bit quicker. We're not just installing all new stuff here. Last year, we had a lot of first-time varsity players. So being able to have 4 guys that return off a team that won a championship last year, we split 3 ways in our conference. It helped things move along. We don't have many numbers right now, so it's kind of stopping us from being really competitive against each other in practice, just our numbers alone. But, as far as returning lettermen, I feel really, really good about that right now.
Yeah, 4 returning starters, and let's go over those names. And for people that maybe are new to the program or new to watching this series of YSN, go over your roster and the names that you have and the people that are going to be big names for LeBray.
Jay McGarry is our senior point guard. It's been a 3-year varsity. It'll be his 3rd year as a varsity starter, really, for us. Kind of our leader right now. Junior Derek Wilson transferred in last year from Lordstown. Has really done a lot in the off season to improve his game, and I think people are going to really see a big difference in him this year, especially now that we can have him for a full season. Shooting guard Austin Rowe, it's a sophomore, was a really good shooter for us last year from the outside, and really surprised a lot of people, I think, at how well he could play at that varsity level last year as a freshman. And then our 4th returning starter is Jackson Lancaster, another sophomore. He snuck in the lineup last year as a freshman, just a kid who does everything you ask him to and does everything the right way. And kind of snuck into that lineup as a freshman last year. We weren't expecting him to really move in as a starter and play full time as he did. And he was a great surprise. And he's not gonna sneak up on people this year. It's gonna just our glue that holds us together. We lost a really good big man last year, Blake Cannell, probably the best center in the area. He's off playing at Bethany this year. So we got to replace him with kind of by committee right now. We're trying to find that 5th starter. We got some good options right now. Senior David Blackman will be a first-year varsity player. Really athletic, fast, big guy. Lucas Glazer and Dan McLaughlin are 2 sophomores that are also going to battle for some time in that center position. So we're looking forward to those. And then we have a really good guard coming off the bench in Owen Boone right now, who, there may be some games, and if our bigs don't come in there, he may be in the starting lineup and go really just some 4 guard sets. So we got a nice little core there that I'm really excited about.
Coach, I like that you said that the sophomores that you have that had such a good freshman season aren't going to sneak up on people, because that's my next question. Those 2, last year when you're a freshman, there's no tape on you. You come out and you're so good, and some people may be surprised by, how good they were. I mean, people on the other end of the bench, of course. Now there's tape. There's no surprise, like you said. They're not sneaking up on people. How are they going to take that next step and adjust to maybe teams' adjustments to them?
Well, we'll have to see, really. I think as a team, we got to adjust. We had our offense centered around Blake Cannell last year and our inside play, so that really opened up the outside. So I think teams now are really going to have to be out on Austin and our other shooters, really making us put the ball on the floor. If I was coaching us, that's really what I would do. I don't want to give away any secrets to other teams, but so for them, they got to adapt and for Austin, he's going to have to adapt and be able to put that game of being able to get to the basket, shot fake and get to the basket, pull up jump shots. He can't just be a set shooter on the 3-point line. But teams know, I mean, you got to guard him from 25 feet out. I mean, he'll shoot it from anywhere. He's got no conscience, which is a good thing for us. I mean, he'll let it rip, and he'll knock him down. In the postseason, he won 2 of the countywide 3-point contests as a freshman last year. I mean, he can shoot it. He can shoot it quick. But he's got to get that other part of his game, and he has. He's worked on that in the offseason. He's looked pretty good doing that right now. And Jackson really, like I said, is our glue guy. So for him, it's just keep doing what he's doing. Setting screens, rebounding, running the floor. There's only one basketball. We got a lot of scorers. We got 3 really, really good scorers, I think. 3 of the better ones that we've had in my time here that can get their own shot off and score. So some of the guys have just got to be those guys who do the little things. And the little things like we talk about every day are what make a difference.
Let's talk about the schedule that you play. We'll start with that conference that you were winners of last year. Like you said, a 3-way tie, which tells you how good that MVAC was last year on the gray side. What do you see out of it this year? What are you looking at?
I think just a lot of the same. Brookfield lost a little, 2 good players. I shouldn't say a little. They lost a lot and 2 good players, but they got a really good point guard still there that's going to lead them. Campbell also tied for the lead. Beat Newton Falls there at the end, beat us too. They're always just scrappy. Coach does a great job there. And they just play hard. They come after you. They put pressure on you. They always find a way to get to the basket. They're athletic. Shot the ball extremely well against us last year, and those guys are back. So that'll be very competitive. And Newton Falls just always reloads. Coach Simback, Coach Massanuts do a great job there. And they're hungry. I know they feel I spent all summer with Coach Massanuts on the golf course, so I know they feel like they lost an opportunity last year and where they were the best team probably and are the one who were in the running the entire way until the last game. So they're hungry, and you don't want to play them when they're hungry. They're going to come after some people, and they'll be very competitive as well. And Crestview in there, you travel to Crestview. Same thing with our last game. We had to win that in overtime to get a piece of the title. You go to Crestview, it's a tough place to play. Those kids are tough.
When you think about the league and how hard it is, you also have to imagine, well, man, we have to go test ourselves outside of the conference too and get ourselves ready for postseason. What are some teams that pop up outside of that MVAC that make you excited about the year?
Northeast 8. We play quite a few of those Northeast 8 teams that are solid, strong schools. We got Niles. We also have Howland out of the All-American Conference right off the bat there. Those are our first 2 games, and those are going to be tough ones to start off with. We're loaded towards the end also. We always play a really well-coached Springfield team there towards the end of the season in our non-league. Gerard's in there also. So we added Crestwood this year, who's got a couple really good athletes there, younger guys that can play. So we'll be tested in the non-league as well. There's no easy game for us, and we've been fortunate enough to have pretty good teams here over the last 10 or 12 years, and we try to tell our kids, and they kind of learned last year that we always got a bullseye on our back. Teams are measuring their season on how well they play against us, and they're always looking for a little bit of revenge from the past few years. So we won't get any easy games, I'll tell you that. There won't be any easy ones, league or non-league.
The target hasn't gone away, right? So we've seen LeBray be good at boys basketball. Like you said, for the last 10 or 12 years, that target never goes away from you guys. How are you able to consistently feed into these kids like, hey, you have to go and take every team for what they're worth, and every team's going to treat us like the biggest game on their schedule?
It's hard. It's hard to do. It's hard to do in anything, to bring your best every single day. But that's what we try to do and try to stress, coming into practice every day and doing that. I think that's where it starts. That way you're not worried about games and having to bring it on the games. You got to do it in practice every day. We try to have competitive practices, and that's what I was saying earlier in the interview, with only 14 guys, 9 through 12 this year. It's hard to get some of the drills and some of the competitive things that we do in practice. We're trying to find a new way to do some of those things. So this year, it'll be tough. It'll be, different for sure. But no game's more important than any other game. Those are all the coaching things you try to stress. Obviously, you get to some rivalry games. Those things kind of on their own. You don't even need to tell the kids anything. They know. But we just try to bring it every single day. And we learned our lesson last year a little bit where, we didn't do that and we paid the price.
Coach, we're sitting here talking to you, and we would be remiss if we didn't let you shine a light on your coaching staff. We know you get the interviews and you get the questions asked, but you have great people behind you that are helping you, make this program what it is. I want to give you the time to shine a light on the staff that help you make LeBray as good as it is.
Yeah, we preach to our kids' family, and it starts from the coaching staff. My longtime two assistant coaches really are my brothers. Brian Kaiser is my older brother and my varsity assistant, and Jeff Kaiser is my JV coach, has been since the day I took over as the head coach here. Those guys have been with me, and we all come from the same basketball program that Marty Hill had at Wyndham and think alike, and it makes it really easy. We all three of us know exactly what the other one is thinking and have the same approach to basketball. My son Logan Kaiser joined as an assistant coach last year. Also, he's our freshman coach. He's an assistant coach this year. Played with the program. And then Kenny Downey is another varsity volunteer assistant that's been with us for a couple of years now. Longtime assistant Chris Drake, also in the program as our 8th grade coach, has really helped the program by building those kids up in the middle school level, has been here for quite a while with me. Had a couple of years he was off and came back, but he makes a huge difference. And Brian Page is my 7th grade coach. This is his first year with the program. But as you said earlier, I can't do any of this, and our kids can't do it without the help of all of our assistants.
Coach, our last question for you is kind of the theme of our season previews. We've been asking it to every coach we've interviewed so far in this the preseason. It's all about the love of the sport of basketball. We love it because we broadcast it. You obviously love it because you coach it, and you've coached it for a while, and your players are putting in the time, so they obviously love it. Talk about your love of the game. Where did it come from, and what are some of your first memories of falling in love with the sport of basketball?
I have my whole life. As I said, I came from Wyndham. I can remember being, kindergarten and going and watching the Bombers in the state, making the state tournament run. And Coach Marty Hill was coaching then. He had 40 plus years. It was a program that I got to go to games every game that they had. Really comes from the love of my dad for basketball. He loves the game and would always take us. My mom, we always went to every game that we could get to. Watch every game. Me and my brothers, every game you could watch on TV. If there's one on TV growing up, we were watching it. They didn't have as many channels, so there weren't many games. But every time it was on, we were watching it. And, I got to be a water boy for Coach Hill when I was in 5th and 6th grade. And then got to play for him, obviously. And then he had me coaching there at Wyndham before I came over to LeBray with Coach Ysn, who was another Wyndham guy. So it's just been in my blood, and still from my parents, always playing it, watching it, coaching it now. Both my kids were basketball players playing AAU and traveling. It's just a family thing for us. And, I don't know anybody in my family doesn't love basketball.
You watched a lot of basketball, Coach. We're going to watch a lot of you this season. We wish you the best of luck. We thank you so much for your time, giving us a solid preview of the LeBray boys, and we can't wait to see you out there. We'll talk to you real soon.
Thank you, Anthony.
That was LeBray boys basketball head coach Chad Kaiser that you just heard from. They are the reigning MVAC championships along with Newton Falls and Campbell. Right? Three-way tie in the MVAC and boys basketball last season. I know all those teams are really hoping to maybe break that tie this year and be the lone champion, but you plant your flag where you can plant your flag, right? If you do enough to win a championship, whether you're sharing it or you're winning it outright, either way, I think you've done something that you can celebrate. So LeBray, very good basketball team coming back. They have a lot of young talent. I think Coach Kaiser put it really well, though. Talent that's not going to be a secret anymore, right? There's going to be some books on some of these sophomores that had tremendous freshman season. So I'm very excited to see how those guys handle the adjustments that defenses are going to make to them. You have to counter adjust, right? That's why, a good rookie season does not equal a good career, right? Because you always have to counter adjust a team's and a league's adjustment to you. So we're going to see how the young talent of LeBray is able to navigate some of these defenses that are going to be keyed in on their young guys now this season. Before we get out of here, let's go into the scoreboard again, which is presented by Burnett Pool Spas and Hot Tubs. Let's go from yesterday to today and see what games are going down tonight. It is still girls basketball on YSN. Boys basketball will start on Friday. That's their tip-off date. So probably one of the only Tuesdays of the year where you're going to have this many girls basketball games and no boys basketball games. And here on Tuesday, we have 5 to be exact. JFK taking on Badger. That one will be on the network. Toronto heading to Wellsville. McDonald goes to Wyndham. We have Lordstown going to Sebring. And last but not least, Matthews goes to Lisbon. Here are the games that will be broadcast tonight and your announcer crews that will be there broadcasting them for you. At JFK, it is going to be Matt Marr and Jordan Barber for that one between Badger and JFK. Ty Bartell heading down to Wyndham to watch McDonald and the Bombers. And Scott Himthorne and Quinn will be in Lisbon, Quinn Pushkar, as they'll broadcast that one for you guys as well. We want to wish the best of luck to Sebring and Wellsville. Also a reminder that there is a Heartland Christian and Liberty game tonight, and that is varsity only. That is starting at 5:30, varsity only. Heartland Christian and Liberty. So those are the games that are happening tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. Scotty Mincher is joining us, and also tomorrow it is the debut of season 3 of Wrestling Wednesday with Gary Altizer. We are 1 week away. We'll be 1 week away tomorrow from the first wrestling broadcast on YSN. So we're going to bring him in tomorrow for the first episode, have him broad preview the wrestling season, go through all these teams that we should be watching out for today to this year. And then obviously next week we'll be able to bring on people and talk about wrestling. So going to have a fun winter with Gary Altizer like we have for the last 2 years. Scotty Mitchell will be on the show as well. And we're going to have some fun tomorrow, 1 to 2. Don't miss it on Running Point. Brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Make sure to check out the games tonight. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find them. And we will be back tomorrow